अब मैं प्रोग्राम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए आज के एमिनेंट स्पीकर डॉक्टर महेंद्र आर मिश्रा जी को आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूं। डॉक्टर महेंद्र आर मिश्रा सर असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स, KJ सोमैया कॉलेज ऑफ आर्ट्स एंड कॉमर्स, एफिलिएटेड टू मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी महाराष्ट्र। सर ने अपनी PhD डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर यूनिवर्सिटी मराठावाड़ औरंगाबाद महाराष्ट्र से की है। सर का टीचिंग एक्सपीरियंस 14 सालों का है। सर 5 टेक्स्ट बुक में सह संपादन का कार्य कर रहे हैं। इसके अलावा सर के 10 रिसर्च पेपर नेशनल तथा इंटरनेशनल जर्नल्स में प्रकाशित हो चुके हैं। सर ने 8 रिसर्च पेपर नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल सेमिनार में प्रेजेंट किए हैं। सर ने 6 पेपर्स सेमिनार इंटरनेशनल नेशनल सेमिनार्स में प्रकाशित कराए हैं। इसके अलावा सर अनेक कमेटियों और जर्नल्स में मेंबर के पद पर कार्य कर रहे हैं। सर आपको हम आमंत्रित करते हैं नई शिक्षा नीति पर अपने विचारों से हम सभी को अवगत करने के लिए।
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, and happy Teachers' Day to each and everyone, teachers and research scholar as well as student. This is Dr. Mahendra Mishra from KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, Autonomous, Mumbai. First of all, I would like to congratulate you all for organizing such a wonderful webinar on new education policy to 2020. Today I am going to speak on one of the approach which has been initiated by Government of India in NEP 2020. That approach is called as a multidisciplinary approach of higher education in New Education Policy 2020. I'm sharing a slide. I hope my slide is visible to everyone. So this is our today's topic, on which I am going to talk: multidisciplinary approach of higher education in NEP 2020. See, before going into the detailed analysis of multidisciplinary approach of higher education 2020, I would like to say something about the higher education policy. What Government of India has mentioned that higher education is very important for today's world. It's a very extremely important role in providing human as well as societal well-being of the society. If you take the world, today's world is undergoing a rapid changes into the knowledge platform. Whether it is science, technology, arts, commerce, science, everywhere there is a change, and we have to go according to the change. We cannot live behind this change, because you can grow if you are able to accept the change. You cannot grow without change, without accepting the change. We have an n number of examples. Those who are not able to go according to the change, they cannot grow. So that's why in the landscape of world knowledge or knowledge landscape, you have to change as per the requirement. You have to change as per the requirement, because if you take the policy, in that they have written there is a dramatical scientific and technological advancement into the higher education. For example, there is a changes. Mathematical science has taken away by data science. So data science is now very important as compared to mathematical science. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, many unskilled jobs worldwide may be taken over by machine. So that's why you have to take the change. If you're going to concentrate your traditional education pattern, you cannot grow. So while need for skilled forces, particularly involving mathematics, computer science, data science, and with multidisciplinary abilities across the science, social science and humanities will increasing dramatically everywhere. There will be a growing demand for humanities and arts, as well as move towards become a developed countries, as well as among the three largest economy in the world from India's side. India is the third largest economy in the world. It will be in future. So there is a gap. There is a gap, what we called as the gap between current and future, or what we have and what the Western countries have. So gap between current state of learning outcome and what is required must be bridged through the undertaking major reforms. So that's why we need to have a change, bring the highest quality, equity, and integrity into the system for early childhood care education to the higher education. So we need to fill the gap which is required as per the current scenario. So we need to fill that gap. ये gap हमको कम करना है, not only from a higher education perception say, but we need to change this from our you can say childhood care system to higher education system. To keep this into the mind, Government of India has approved a committee, you can say a policy, NEP policy 2020 on 29 July 2020. I renamed the first thing what Government of India has done, that renaming the Ministry of Human Resources Development as a Ministry of Education. That is a big development in India after 29 July 2020. So first change what government has done, that is Ministry of Education now. Earlier it was called as a Ministry of Higher Education, Human Resources and Development. According to the government proposal, you can say what government has uploaded 66 pages NEP policy. It will bring a transformational changes into the school education as well as higher education system in the country. It is a first, according to the government, and yes, if you take the data, it is a first policy, comprehensive policy after 34 years. The second policy was started by Government of India in 1986, and first was it was in 1968. So this is, you can say, third national education policy which came into which has come in India in 21st century. So this policy aims to bring a very, what we call as a transformational changes at school level as well as higher education. And government is trying to develop our economy as a knowledge-based economy, which is called as a global knowledge superpower. Or you can say what we had earlier at the time of golden period. So India wanted to achieve that. So on the basis of this policy, government is trying to achieve that kind of things. So India, government is trying to shape the India into the global knowledge superpower. So when we talk about NEP aims, it aims to transfer into the vibrant knowledge society and global knowledge superpower by making both school as well as college education more holistic in 21st century. So it will bring out the unique capability of each and every students who are learning from their childhood. When I take the principal aim of this policy, what is the principal aim of this policy? Principal aim of this policy is at the purpose of this policy to develop a good human beings who are capable of rational thought, and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination, with sound ethical modeling and values. It aims to producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building a equitable, inclusive, and plural society by as per the Constitution. Now, when we talk about what are the principles of this education policy, these are the 8 basic principles of this policy. That the first one is respect of diversity and local context. to be reflected in all the curriculum, pedagogies, and policy. This is the first aim which is there into the education policy. According to the government draft or approved draft, you have to respect diversity of Indian culture, local culture. You have to include or inculcate the local into the your curriculum in teaching methodology and policy also. Second, equity and inclusion. Those who are away from education, they should be included into the education. That is a second aim of, you can say, principle of this policy. Third principle is community participation. Community, when we talk about community participation, today, what is there into the education? It is, you can say, controlled by few people and who are dealing from upper to lower level. So there is no community participation. Government is trying to include those people who are away from this education system. And fourth one is use of technology in teaching and learning. Technology, that is today's demand to break the barrier of, you can say, taking the knowledge. At the time, even at the time of pandemic situation, today we are conducting this kind of webinar thanks to technology. So we need to have a technology, use of technology in our teaching, learning. And also, there is one more thing into the fourth principle, removing language barrier. Government is trying to remove the language barrier. So that's why 3 language concept is introduced in this policy. The fifth one is emphasize conceptual understanding. Learning from for exams with no rate learning. That means no grading system will be there into the exam. Unique capability, recognizing, tapping them into the each and student. That means creative thinking. And the last, you can say, seventh one is critical thinking and creativity to boost logical decision. They can at least student can learn with their own ideas. They can come up with their own ideas, own startup or own things. They do not depend on other things, or just it is just like to create a Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this is another aim of this policy. And the 8th one is continuous review through assessment. So this is the principles of education policy 2020. Now vision, this is a vision of policy. Okay, now when I take the higher education, now I am going to concentrate on that. Quality universities and colleges, a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education. This is the headline or one chapter in that 66 pages approved document. Okay, government is trying to have a quality universities as well as colleges. This is the headline. So that means it is a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education. It means what? Do we do not have a quality university or colleges? There is a question mark. Why this quality universities and colleges? That means we are comparing with world university, in front of world university, where we are, where we wanted to achieve, what kind of things we wanted to learn from world, or you can say Western universities. Now, higher education is, as I said, it's very important for sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. As India move towards becoming one knowledge economy and society, more and more young Indians are like to be aspired for higher education. So that's why higher education is very, very important for the economy like India. Now, there are some major problems which is identified by Government of India in at the time of framing this policy, especially for higher education. So let me tell you that these problems. These are the few problems of higher education. First one is a fragmented system. India's education system is a totally fragmented. Fragmented means there is a division of education. There is a medical sciences, technical science, occasional science, arts, human science, commerce, and many more division of education is there. So some say that one is good, and second say second one is not good. So this is the what we called as a fragmented system. And Second one is, according to the government, there is a less emphasis on cognitive skill and learning outcome. Cognitive means there is a critical thinking, or you can say sagyanata का उनको knowledge नहीं है. Our system is not a learning outcome based system. हमारा जो सिस्टम है दैट इज थियोरेटिकल नॉलेज है, दे दो एंड गो टू द मार्केट, एंड मार्केट में फिर आपका एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं होता है. मार्केट रिक्वायर्ड कॉग्निटिव स्किल, करंट स्किल. If you have, then only market will accept. Otherwise, market आपको लेगा नहीं. Third problem क्या है? Rigid separation of the discipline. ये problem क्या है? आर्ट्स, साइंस, कॉमर्स. आर्ट्स का बच्चा साइंस में नहीं जा सकता, साइंस का बच्चा आर्ट्स में आ सकता है, कॉमर्स का बच्चा आर्ट्स में आ सकता है, लेकिन आर्ट्स का बच्चा साइंस में नहीं जा सकता. ये प्रॉब्लम है रिजिड सेपरेशन. और इसमें एक इंफीरियरिटी फील होती है कि बच्चों के बीच में, आर्ट्स, साइंस, कॉमर्स के बीच में, कि क्या हमारा स्ट्रीम अच्छा है, हमारा स्ट्रीम अच्छा है, हमारा स्ट्रीम अच्छा है. तो एक यू कैन से डिवीजन ऑफ क्लास भी होता है यहाँ पे. उसके बाद लिमिटेड एक्सेस, पर्टिकुलरली सोशो इकोनॉमिकली डिसएडवांटेजेस एरिया. हायर एजुकेशन स्पेशली कहाँ पे सिचुएटेड है? मेट्रो सिटी, सेमी मेट्रो सिटी. इट इज नॉट लोकेटेड इन disadvantaged area. So that is another problem which government is seeing while preparing this kind of this new education policy. And then limited teacher and institutional autonomy. Teacher doesn't have a right to set up their own syllabus at the college level, so they do not have autonomy. They don't know what to teach. It is a university who's telling teach this, even though if it is for 3-year, 4-year, 5-year continue, even if it is outdated syllabus, right? So this is again one of the major steps which government is trying to implement. Autonomy at teacher level as well as institutional level. Autonomy will give a power to teacher to frame their syllabus according to their own requirement, according to the market, according to the industry requirement, according to the current scenario. And institutional autonomy will give you permission for that. Then lesser emphasis on research. If you take the research in current situation, college doesn't get research funding. It's only university. Even university last 4 years there is no funding at university level as well as college level. Then there is a governance and leadership problem of higher education. Like one authority is there, UGC. Second authority is there, AICT. Then हर एक लेवल पे अलग अलग अथॉरिटी है और डिवीजन भी अलग अलग है. So there is a problem of regulatory also, ineffective regulatory system. And one of the most important, that large affiliating university resulting in low standard of undergraduate education. आज हर कोई यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेजेस खोल देता है, हर कोई यूनिवर्सिटी प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज आ जाती है जहां का स्टैंडर्ड, यू नो दैट. सो दीज आर द प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन इन इंडिया. To resolve these problems, Government of India has taken various initiatives. So that major reforms of higher education in India, that reforms is this. To overcome these problem, Government of India has initiated major reforms in higher education, and these reforms is as first, government is trying to increase gross enrollment ratio जो higher education. If you look at the primary education, there is a gross enrollment ratio is higher, but जब वो private higher education में आते हैं, उनका जो enrollment out of 100 student, only 26.6% people are entering into the higher education. That government wanted to change. Government wanted to increase it is up to 50%, and then government is trying to have a you can say towards the higher educational system consisting a large multidisciplinary university and college with at least one in every district. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Today we have 800 universities and more than 36,000 colleges. Government is trying to have one university in each district. That means if you take the UP, 80 around 70 to 80 district is there, और उसका एम क्या है? 5 साल में हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक यूनिवर्सिटी होनी चाहिए. मतलब हर एक महीने में एक यूनिवर्सिटी खुलेगी आपकी. Is it possible or not? That is a debatable topic. But see the what is the deadline? Within 5 years, government is trying to increase, set up one multidisciplinary what we called as a university in each and every district. So that is a first aim of this policy. And second one is a multidisciplinary education system. Multidisciplinary education means what? Multidisciplinary education means now there is no BA, BCom and BSc. There is no, यहाँ changes सिर्फ BA, BSc, BCom का है. There is no changes in medical sciences and engineering. They have their own regulation, but there is only changes into the BA, BSc and BCom. Now students can opt physics with economics, chemistry with history, and many more subjects. This is called multidisciplinary education. And this is a welcome approach. It is there in Western nation also. Plus restructuring UG and PG degree also. अभी आपका क्या है 3-year डिग्री, जैसे इसमें दिया हुआ है 5+3+3+4 and rest is 4-year degree. 4-year degree means there is also facility कि अगर आप फर्स्ट ईयर के बाद पढ़ना नहीं चाहते तो आप ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं. यू विल गेट डिप्लोमा सर्टिफिकेट. यू कैन से यू विल गेट सर्टिफिकेट. सेकंड ईयर डिप्लोमा मिल जाएगा, थर्ड ईयर करोगे आपको डिग्री मिल जाएगा, और फोर्थ ईयर कंप्लीट करोगे तो आपको एक डिग्री विथ रिसर्च मिलेगा. और फोर्थ ईयर का कॉन्सेप्ट कहां से है? इट इज फ्रॉम वेस्टर्न नेशन. There are n number of students who wanted to migrate after their graduation or after 12th standard from India to abroad, and they want a 16-year education. So this system is fit for Western countries. So that is good for those people who wanted to study abroad also. Okay, so this is even when I was in MA level, many students in Mumbai University, they just enter into the MA to complete 16-year education, because we have a 15-year what we call it as a 15-year education. 15-year education. So now इससे क्या रहेगा? 16-year education, like 5+3+3+4 plus then 4-year at degree level. After that, multidisciplinary education and research university government is trying to do, moving towards the faculty and institutional autonomy. That is also given more weightage into this autonomy. There is a 3 type of universities are trying to set up by government of India. Revamping curricular, pedagogy, assessment, everything. Merit based appointment, that is also there into the system. There is a one separate foundation, you can say fund, National Research Foundation, to the fund outstanding peer review research. This is based on our research ki hamara research acha nahi hota hai, so we need to have a one separate body who can fund your research. You may apply, you can apply and you will get the funding from there. And there is also governance problem of higher education also. So there is one thing, light but tight regulation by single regulator. So earlier, now today we have a UGC, AICT, right? In this policy, there is only one regulator. Government is trying to transforming the regulatory system of higher education. So regulation of higher education has been too heavy handled for decades. Too much has been attempted to be regulated with too little effect. So mechanisms, you can say disempowering nature of the regulatory system has been rife with the very basic problems such as a heavy concentration of power within few bodies, conflicting the interests of among these bodies and resulting lack of accountability. Okay, so there is a system. This is the system of higher education as per NEP 2020. Okay, so for Higher Education Commission of India, this is the prime body. In that there is a 4 body, National Higher Education Regulatory Council. इसका काम क्या है? Let me tell you, the first vertical of Higher Education Commission of India will be the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. It will function as a common single point regulator for higher education sector, including teachers education and excluding medical and legal. As I said, it's only teacher education excluding medical and legal, though eliminating the duplication of regulatory efforts by multiple regulatory authorities. Second is a National Accreditation Council. This is a second independent body under higher education. Each and every body is having autonomous status. Enabled such as a regulation will be accreditation, just like in NAC. Third one is a higher education grant commission. This will give you a grant based on your performance. And general education council. So that is a fourth vertical of higher education commission of India will be a general education council, which will frame expected learning outcome for higher education program. Also refer to a gratitude attributes. And national higher education qualification framework will be formulated by GEC, and it will be synchronized with the national skill qualification framework to ease the integration of vocational education into the higher education. The functioning of all these bodies, independent vertical bodies, like regulation. First one is a regulation, second one is accreditation, third one is a grant, and fourth one is education. Education and over reaching the autonomous umbrella under Higher Education Commission of India itself will be a based on transfer. That means ये इसका भी जो Higher Education Commission of India, it is a technology based commission. You can say transparent public disclosure and use of technology intensive to reduce human interference. So this is the current, you can say, future regulatory body of higher education. Now, when I take the criticism, what kind of criticism is coming from teachers as well as policy makers, or you can say many people who knows education, the proposition of higher education is caused most speculation that mother tongue it will be possible, like यहाँ पे लिखा है wherever is possible, right? So wherever is possible, that means it is not compulsory. If you teach your in mother tongue, that will create a, you can say, who will follow this? We have a mushrooming private education system, convent education. Will you allow, or you can say, will they allow to follow this system? So there is a debatable topic. It is a debatable topic. And then 6% GDP, that is also currently 4.43%. So this is also how to spend. जो अभी spend कैसे करोगे आप? And there is a third one is unclear expenditure will be what is this? How it increase expenditure will be shared between central, and there is also you should have a talk with state government कि policy कैसे implement होगा. State is going to implement. So how many states are agree with this? So that is a problem. Then class-based inequality will be riding as those who are able to afford posh English medium education in cities full further ahead of talent from hinterland, right? So this is, as I said, who will impose Hindi, or you can say mother tongue, to these convent school, private school, those who are mushrooming on the basis of English only. And there is a also criticism like privatization of higher education, as you are trying to welcome more and more universities from abroad, right? So और एक यहाँ पे criticism है 15-year all the affiliated college to the university, जो the affiliated college है, they are going to phase out within 15 years and grant to autonomy to college, which will open the door to the privatization. Autonomy, who are capable to have or handle autonomy. कौन सी autonomy? It is as per to UGC norms, जो है 3 type of autonomy, 3 graded autonomy है. Graded means high quality autonomy. So autonomy, there is a different type of autonomy. Institutional autonomy, that is called academic autonomy, and second one is financial autonomy. Which kind of autonomy you are going to grant? So that is also a debatable topic. Now these are the basic question which comes always in mind while reading your this NEP 2020. Does foreign university will give a reservation as per the current education system? What will be the future of our state run colleges? Will they are going to be autonomous, or they will be constituent college like Allahabad University or Kanpur University or any other kind university? Does your system is fully equipped with a proper infrastructure and faculty. If you take the central university or private state-run university, there is a lack of or shortage of faculty. So how you're going to do this? Does our universities are equipped with compete with top 10 university from rest of the world? Those those top 10 universities which is coming in India, which is welcomed by India in this 2020 NEP 2020, हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी उसके लिए capable है क्या? So these are the basic questions which always comes in our mind while reading this NEP 2020. So this is our this is my thought, this is my opinion. Ki, if you take NEP 20, it is a good step which is initiated by Government of India, but it should be implemented in a proper manner, and full facilities should be provided by Government of India, and there should be a coordination between central and state. Thank you very much. Thank you, organizer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahendra R. Mishra ji, for joining our webinar. I also express my heartfelt thanks for your sharing deep information and a knowledge about National Education Policy to 2020. I appreciate that you have given variable time for this webinar. I would also to mention that you have highlighted very pertinent and important issue about National Education Policy 2020. Once again, I feel highly grateful that you joined our webinar.